Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Today is, first, before we go any further, the victims of the California wildfires really need our help, and I'm in all seriousness about it. So please reach out to any charity that is working. Excuse me. Should have done that. With any charity that is working with the victims of the California wildfires, like the Red Cross and others. So please reach out to them, continue to reach out to them as well, because they really, really do need our help. And just bear with me. So, if you watched the podcast yesterday that I had with Jen Mitchell Love, I mentioned that I had a cleansing, and with a former classmate and who has been on this podcast before. And matter of fact, if you go to the live section of the Life with Joey Calvo YouTube channel, you'll see two podcasts there. One that says Life with a Former Classmate. The second one has his name, which is Jonathan Black. So we did this on Monday, and I haven't felt so much better than I did Monday. And when I did this podcast yesterday with Jen, I literally was just overwhelmed with the energy that was there. It was just so wonderful. I was literally falling for her. I kind of did, actually. And it was good. Because it, like, the energy that was going on through that was just so strong, and it's like I wanted to grab that energy and hold on to it. It was just that great. I mean, wow, I loved it. I could, and like, even with today, I mean, I went out early this morning. I took a walk to go get my medication. I had to do some other things, and I grabbed my iced coffee, and I was just enjoying everything that's out there that God brought out, and I was feeling good, yeah, I have a slow step. Sorry. We're working on the sleep thing. And even though I'm not working right now, I'm kind of now starting to take it as a blessing. Because it's given me time to really take a look at me, and seeing everything that has gone on in my life. And I mean, of course, I'm still going to have that that mistake in my life. I mean, that you can't get rid of. But I can look over it. I can look around it. And when I had that cleansing on Monday, that part was literally holding on to me and literally just didn't want me to be happy. That didn't want me to move forward in my life. And I mean, it's still it's dangling right now in my mind, but it's not stopping me from enjoying who I should be. And I am going to be doing and my so-called friends on Facebook will be upset because yes, I'm going to be asking for money. But it's not going to be for me. I mean, it's for me, but it's not going to be all. It's not the only thing that's going to be used of that money. And I'll explain in a minute. But it's more going to be towards this podcast because I'm really enjoying doing these podcasts. I mean, I've been saying how, in reference to a psychiatrist that I went to, says, "Oh, your podcast is your therapy." Well, now after being cleansed on Monday and the podcast yesterday, and you know the love that I really have with people really showed it that this podcast is therapy. So I mean, I am restraint. I'm earning. This is how I'm looking at it. I am earning my inner circle back. Okay, I'm earning it. Okay, I'm not. I mean, the inner circle that I had that I was pushing away was amazing. I mean, you've seen, and just Patrick, give me a moment. I mean, you already know. I mean, you already know one person of that inner. And that's American Fox. This is American. This is actually an AI image of American Fox in Philadelphia. Believe it or not, I actually created this. This was very interesting. And the way I'm thinking this looks, I think this is over by the Parkway in reference to the background, the Philadelphia background of it. But this is one person in my inner circle. And you know, a lot of people are judging her. Well, not a lot of people. Some people I know are judging her. Well, they really shouldn't because, yeah, she's the number one fan. She's the number one supporter. She's a real life superheroine. And yes, I actually did fall in love with her. Okay, I did fall in love with her. And she has stayed through, even though she's hurt all the feelings I've had. And I'm just blessed and grateful that she stood by. And you really got to get to know her. I mean, if you're going to pass judgment, then you might as well pass judgment on yourself. Okay? Because she don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. But like I said, she is this podcast's number one fan. Most of the questions that you've seen that have come through for the guests, especially yesterday, came from American Fox. So, I mean, but I will say, hold on a minute here. And I'm jumping off subject a little bit because I don't edit these. And you know what? Fuck the editing. Okay? They don't need to be edited. Because I'm just shooting from the hip with it. And it feels good when you don't have it. I mean, you should it's great when it's scripted, but this should not be a scripted podcast. This is supposed to be a conversation form, okay, to where it's just supposed to be a conversation. And when people like American Fox come up with questions for guests, you bring them in, you share them, and you listen to what they reply to. But I will say yesterday with the oh my god. As we are live right now doing this live stream, I don't know if you ever watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer or you watch Gossip Girl, I'm going back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I used to watch that. Hold on a minute. I gotta pull it up. Okay, Michelle Trachtenberg used to play Buffy's little sister on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's dead at the age of 39 years old. 39 years old. She was found unconscious and unresponsive in her Manhattan apartment, according to the New York City Police Department. She recently underwent a liver transplant, according to the New York Post, which first reported the news. Trachtenberg's cause of death has not been confirmed yet, but criminality is not suspected, and I don't think it's suicide. I hope it's not suicide. In a statement, New York NYPD said that the officers responded to a 911 call just after 8 a.m. on Wednesday, and Trachtenberg was pronounced dead by EMS, who also responded to the scene. So, and she also did movies like Harriet the Spy and Road Trip. She was a beautiful young lady. I mean, really was a beautiful young lady. And I'm sorry to bring that negativity into this. It's a sad thing to say. and shocking as could be. And I just got the news about it. You're hearing it now on YouTube, on the podcast, through the podcast. That's really upsetting. Michelle Trachtenberg from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, dead at 39. It's sad, like I said. And I really would say she was really beautiful. She, I just read the article about it that came online, that I saw online about it. But 39 years old, but she had just had a liver transplant. So it just reminded me of a very close friend that I went to school with back where I grew up in Somerset, New Jersey. And like I said, I apologize. I'm going off tangent. Like I said, I don't edit these, and fuck the editing, and pardon my language at the same time. I had a friend, and those that watch and critique these podcasts I do know this person. But he had liver and kidney transplants. And, throughout his life, he had struggled. He had his struggles with the liver and the kidneys. And God brought him home 3 or 4 years ago. And it's weird because we're coming up. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to come up to his birthday, because his birthday was 5 days before mine. And if you think this is busting my aura right now for bringing this up, it's not. Okay? It just reminds me of this with the death now of Michelle Trachtenberg. This really just brings up memories. But life goes on. We have to be happy for the people that were in our lives, including those that passed away. Because if you really think about it, in the back of your mind, they're still there. They may not be physically, in front of you, but in your mind, they're always there. And that's one thing I'm grateful for. The people that are in my life now, that were in my life, having an inner circle is the best thing to have. And American Fox is truly one of them. And I could not be any more grateful for her being there and dealing with the demons I had. Well, I still have the one that I meant, that I kind of can't get rid of. But I'm not going to let it affect my life, and it shouldn't affect my life at all. But excuse me a minute. So, and matter of fact, the person that just I apologize. I just got an email that I had to answer real quick. I want that person, if that person continues to watch this impromptu podcast, I want that I would like to have that. I'd like to get that person into my inner circle as well. Because that person really didn't do anything to me, and I pushed that person away. And when I finish this, I'm going to get back to her and mention to her about it. So, yeah, ever since this cleansing on Monday, I've seen I've seen everything in a whole different perspective. I couldn't be any more happier now than I was before. Before I was at the point, and if you listen to if you watch yesterday's podcast with Jen Mitchell Love, mostly everything came out. When I went through this cleansing, I was literally crying because the demons that were in me that were holding me back all these years really was tearing me apart. And I was thankful and grateful that they are now except for except for one. There's one demon I have no choice. I can't kind of get rid of. But I've been thankful that now I can appreciate myself a little bit at a time. And I got some work to do. I still got to completely heal. Okay. I've got a lot of healing to do out of it, because I mean, I literally this cleansing literally just was like a wrecking ball when it came out. And I mean, when it came out, I was literally crying. But again, I am just thankful that people like American Fox are there on that other side, and it may not be a physical relationship, but I have to be thankful that she stood on that other side. And literally, I was even saying before it, that matter of fact, I was just getting ready to, like I said, after today, like starting today, if I didn't get cleansed like I was on Monday, American Fox was going to be out of my life. My inner circle was going to be gone. I was pushing away my inner circle. And after that cleansing on Monday, I felt so stupid about it, what I was doing, that I was to the point where I was actually regretting myself for doing it. And I'm glad I regretted myself for doing it. So I am earning my inner circle. And there are people that I want in my inner circle. And yes, American Fox is one of them. And I'll tell you, I really will be grateful to have American Fox in my inner circle, because actually she's kind of been in my inner circle. I just didn't throw her out yet. And I came close to doing that. That would have been done today if I didn't go through what I was doing. But there's a person out in California who just out of the blue one day just emailed me. And actually wants to get to know me. And I just pushed her away, and I feel stupid for it. And I'm not ashamed to say it. So, like I said, after this podcast, I'm going to reach out and explain it. So, So, in reference to American Fox, she loves chatting with real people. Okay, so you can reach her out. You can reach out to her on X, Twitter at American Fox 4, or if you're on Threads or Instagram at American Fox 12018, and just reach out to her. And definitely, she loves talking to real people. And if you love superheroines like Wonder Woman, like we both do, and we're both Linda Carter fans, by the way, definitely chat with her, because that's the best thing, is getting to know new people. I mean, it's going to be a work, because I have to start now. The healing has to start now that the cleansing's been done. I've got to start the healing, and I'm going to reach out to the person that did this, and we're going to work on how to heal. And I'm definitely grateful to Jen Mitchell Love for yesterday. Again, like I said, if you saw the way I was, it was almost like the way I was to American Fox. I was literally falling for her. And you also heard me apologize at the same time, because the podcast was supposed to be about her, and it wound up kind of going on to this this cleansing I went through. And I want to learn, and when I reach out to my friend that did this, and like you say, he's been a guest on the podcast before. When I reach out to him, I want to go 5D. And I may actually reach out to Jen even. And if she watches this podcast, Jen, of course, thank you. American Fox, thank you. The person that I had pushed away originally, that I would like to bring into my inner circle, I'm sorry. And I do want to get to know you more. I really like my inner circle that I'm building. I really like it. I mean, there's another person too. But it feels good. It really feels good. Yeah, and I apologize because I jumped off the tangent about what I'm trying to do for this. What I was saying, I'm going to be asking for money and doing a GoFundMe page. I want to make this podcast better, much better, literally. I want to be able to do this more. Even if I do get another job, I'm still doing those same 3 days, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, in reference to it. I mean, the only reason why I'm doing it today on a Wednesday is because, like, right now I'm not working. And I really, especially yesterday, especially since this cleansing, I really feel that I could do more with these podcasts. And Jonathan, who actually did the cleansing, like I said, the former guest and former classmate, did the cleansing. He commented on the ones yesterday. So if you look at the one from yesterday, you will see all the comments he made. Okay. And believe me, he wants you to hit the like button on that podcast. Well, hit it on this one too. Even subscribe and click on the notifications when you click on the notifications. So that way when I go live, and you can be part of the live stream when I do the podcast. Now, Tuesday, I have, and Selden, I apologize that I misspelled your name when I promoted you on Instagram and Threads. It's Selden. It's Selden, Beylouni. And if I pronounce your last name wrong, Selden, I apologize. We'll correct it on Tuesday. 12 o'clock Eastern time. She will be on this podcast. We're going to talk about the nervous system and how, everything that within it. Maybe I can learn something about the diagnosis I have. I do have tremors with my hands. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I was diagnosed with it a couple of years, but I've seen it for longer than that. So the GoFundMe that I'm going to bring up, that I'm going to create, is more towards the podcast because when I came across some guests, they wanted to get paid to come on. And they were awesome people too. One was an 80s actress, okay? And I was like, I literally wanted this person on because it would have been fun to chat with all these movies that this person did. But she charged. Then I had some adult actresses that want to come on, and right now they're only asking because they're not, they're kind of, I can't say unemployed, but they're not. They need to be supplemented. There, we'll say it that way. And so plus this, what I'm using right now to do these live streams is outdated. So I need to update this. So that's the other reason. Not much of it is going to me at all. Okay. The only thing that might go to me is if there's a little bit, like a couple bucks. But it's more of upgrading how I do these podcasts. I want to be able to have guests on that. I came close to having the actress that was Charlie's fiance on 2.5 Men. I was this close to having her on. And so when they came back to me, they're like, oh, she charges a fee to come on. And I was like, oh. But it's getting to the point now where if you want to guest on a podcast, you got to pay for it. Okay. Joe Rogan probably has, now Joe Rogan has this $250 million contract. Okay. So he can buy every guest to come on his podcast with no problem. Well, I want to be part of that too. I really do. And I also, of course, I also have a dream that I'm trying to make reality too. Is, I mentioned how I go to Atlantic City a lot, or at least once a month. I'm working on doing like shuttle buses, not shuttle buses, but of course casino buses that go to these casinos, take people like me that love going to the casino, go to the casino every day, to gamble, get them the best slot play possible for the best price possible. So that's another GoFundMe in itself. I kind of worked on, and I've been working on that a little bit since late last year. Some of the things became reality in June with that. But in reference to this podcast, I want to keep this podcast going. And see, at this point, I was about to give up on this podcast. But when I went through that cleansing on Monday, I really realized, I'm like, we got to keep this podcast going somehow. And I not that I don't want to do these impromptu podcasts, because after a while they do get to be too much. And especially with this one being a sad one a little bit because of Michelle Trachtenberg passing away at the age of 39. Still can't believe it. But in reference to, I want to upgrade the podcast. The what I use right now, like I said, to do this podcast with is outdated. You can't upgrade it anymore. So I want to upgrade it. So, and I'm not going to be asking for really a whole lot. I mean, I wanted, and at the same time, one of the sources where I get some of these guests from is ending their free subscription. So now it's going to become a paid subscription. And I kind of like some of the guests I got off of there. Okay. So I that's going to be another thing that I'm going to look into. So, so it's like, I want to put like, I'm probably going to, if I'm going to ask for anything right now to start, it's going to be like $5,000. Okay. And that's because I want to even upgrade this. Even upgrade with this platform. I love this platform. I love this platform I'm on. Because right now I could have up to 6 people on at one time, including myself. So 5 other people. Well, if I want to do more and really spread out, because right now this is only on YouTube. Okay. I can put this on Facebook and Instagram as well. And for me to do that, okay, you have to upgrade, and it costs you like almost $50 a month. So I'm going to say 1,200 of that would be towards the platform for 2 years. And then like maybe another at least 2,000. No, 3,000. There we go. 3,000. Yeah. 3,000 would be used to compensate guests to come on the podcast. So that way we really could have great podcasts, and these podcasts can get out and maybe connect with a News Nation or a CNN, and maybe could blend out to where it goes national. I want to do that's actually something interesting. I would love to be on like CNN with this podcast. And literally do a half hour or an hour chatting one-on-one with like a Robert De Niro, a Steven Spielberg, April Brucker, Beth Polino-Dudzik, a Jen Mitchell Love, an American Fox, a Linda Carter, people like that. I literally want to really expand. I held myself in for too fucking long. I'm living my life now. I want to live my life now, and I want to move forward. And this podcast is one part of that being moving forward. So I want to be able to get out there and literally just expand this podcast out. So yes, starting with the podcast on Tuesday, you should see a GoFundMe type link in the description. Share it. Literally, share it with people, because every support helps. Same thing with this YouTube channel. I want to make people are making money on YouTube, believe it or not. So, yeah, I only have like 60, not even 70 subscribers. And they want you to have 5,000 or 500, I think. They want you to have 500 subscribers and 1,000 hours of people viewing these podcasts to really make a difference. Or actually what I've learned over the past couple days, and yeah, I'm going to throw a fence. It's going to throw a fence at this podcast. On the channel, if you go to the shorts, I've been posting slot machines that I've hit. The slot machines do better than this podcast alone, except for one. And that one podcast was only 15 minutes. It was with Esty herself. And it's got over 1,600 views. And she's all the way out in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Beautiful young lady, by the way. You have to see it. Even though it's only like 15 minutes, that's the most watched podcast ever. 1,600 views. The slot machine reels that I've been doing, the slot machine shorts that I've been posting, and some of them are not even a minute long, are getting 400 views, 200 views, 100 views. Most of them are more than what this podcast will even get. So, and if they subscribe because of the slot machine reels, thank you. I still appreciate it. But I really want to build this podcast up. I do. Before I was like, nah, this podcast is going to die off. I'm going to let it go. And, that's it. Move on doing something else. But again, since I've had this cleansing, I've seen a lot. I feel a lot of different things coming on. And, you always think about the abundance that you're praying for abundance and more abundance and more abundance and more abundance. Not to realize that the abundance that I had has been with me all along. But of course, you always want more, and more turns into greed, and greed turns into this, and this. So, in reference to it, yes, I'm going to do a GoFundMe page for this podcast. Yes, my goal is $5,000 minimum. Okay. But again, that's to have great guests on this podcast. The adult stars, the actresses, some of these experts, the one source that I get guests from. I even want to do, and before I really got cleansed, I had been thinking about a meet and greet. Well, you know what? Now I really want to do that. So, all right, let's change that 5,000. Okay, let's change that 5,000. Let's just say, now, yeah, if that 5,000 was to turn into like $100,000 per se, my goal with that would be to have a meet and greet with American Fox, Liz River, who is one of the adult actresses she's like number 3 or 4 now on the most viewed podcast via the live. And believe me, you see me gushing all over her too. So American Fox, Liz River, maybe like an April Brucker, or even a Jen Mitchell Love. I mean, to have the number one fan, number one supporter, and real life superheroine meeting her in person. Meeting the person that is in my inner circle. Liz River, she is a great. She actually acted in a movie with Anne Hathaway. We do discuss that in the podcast. She's also an adult actress, doing meet and greets. Getting to know her in person, and having her sign, paying for autographs and so on. And doing it in Atlantic City, of all places. And the reason why I'm saying Atlantic City and not Philadelphia is because Atlantic City is, of course, more popular. I'm not saying Philadelphia is. But Atlantic City, like today, they're at the convention center. They're starting the Atlantic City Boat Show. And I thought, before all this was going down, I was like, have the meet and greet at the convention center. And I was picturing it in my mind, and I was like, yeah, this would be awesome. But at the same time, yeah, the cost. I mean, there's a high cost, of course, for everything. You have to make sure you have the right security. You got to make sure everything's lined up. You got to make sure you're licensed for it. And I understand all that, you know? I mean, I graduated. I have an associate's degree in business management, so it's not like I don't know what I need to do. But as I was looking at the costs, I was like, it would be worth it. Because when we did that podcast at the time, Liz was going to be in Edison, New Jersey at the time for Exotica, New Jersey. So like you say, it would be great. And bringing it to Atlantic City and having, like, bringing the podcast's number one fan and number one supporter, American Fox, an adult actress, and maybe another former guest, you know, and you know, you meeting them, you the viewers meeting them directly in person, and maybe purchasing an autograph or a photo with Liz River, or purchasing an autograph or a photo with American Fox, or buying an autographed book from Beth Polino Dudzik, or buying a book, or paying for something from Jen Mitchell Love, you know, something like that. I mean, yes, it would cost you about $50 to enter for the tickets, but that gives you access of meeting 2 to 3 people, you know? So I'm going to throw it in. I'm going to put it in the GoFundMe as a bonus. Not saying that, if you donate $50, you're going to get a ticket to the meet and greet. No. What I'm saying as a bonus is I'm going to add that into the description for the podcast and making the podcast better. That is up to you in reference to it. So I'm going to move on for the rest of the day. I thank you all for watching these live streams on YouTube. I thank you. I really thank you for the future support that you could bring to this podcast. I will make this podcast better any way I can, but I need help now. I'm going to be asking for help. I can't do this alone. If you view these videos and you like these videos, please help support it, because every dollar is going to count, and every dollar is going to improve this podcast in every way possible. If this podcast, if it reaches, like I said, $100,000 per se, if it, okay, which I doubt. I'm happy with the 5,000 because, like I said, it gives me a little bank to pay for guests to come on and to upgrade the equipment that I need in reference to making this podcast better. I would love to do one of these meet and greets. I really want to sponsor one of these. And I'd want to sponsor it in Atlantic City because Atlantic City is a great place to do it. In my, even though I go there a lot. But when I go there, I'm always thinking of things. I always have these ideas that come through my mind. And so a meet and greet with somebody like American Fox and Liz River and so on would be the most awesome thing happening. I'm not saying it's going to blow Exotic out of the water. I'm not saying it's going to blow the concerts at the casinos out of the water. But, to have an opportunity to be face to face with a real life superheroine, an adult star, or even an author or an actress, or any celebrity type, to have them right in front of your face, talking with them, and having them, and you paying for an autograph of them, or paying for a picture with them. It's like a dream come true. I mean, I can give you an example myself. I go to the Philly auto shows, okay? And the first time I went to the Philly auto show, I was married, unfortunately. And if you ever watched the show Wipeout, the original show Wipeout, okay, it had John Henson and another John, these two John guys. John Henson was a comedian. Well, they had a sideline. The first sideline reporter they had was Jill Wagner. Now, back then, when I went, Jill Wagner was also the spokesperson for Mercury when Mercury was still part of Ford before they were dissolved. And so I had an opportunity to meet Jill Wagner in person and get her autograph. And I still have the picture, believe it or not. And it was wonderful. It was worth paying $10 at the time because SEPTA had a deal with the tickets during the week, but it was worth it. Well, is it worth $50 to meet a real life superheroine, an adult actress, and maybe more? I think so. So I hope that when this GoFundMe shows up on Tuesday with Selden Beylouni, that people reach out and say, hey, I'd like to see this happen because I want to see it happen. I actually want to do it. It feels good as I'm thinking about it even. So that gives you thought until the next podcast on Tuesday with Selden Beylouni. And we talk about the nervous system and so on. So thank you so much for watching the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. And I really hope and I believe that we can make the meet and greet happen as well as upgrading and making this podcast better. God bless you all.